Hello guys, you are welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we'll be learning how to make this dress, and for this we will be needing two different Ankara fabric, 2 yards for the body and then 2.5 yards for the sleeve. Okay, so let's get right into this video. I'll be using this Ankara combination. I'll use the design parts for the sleeves and then I'll use the plain parts for the body of the dress. Yeah, so we'll be starting with our bodice block, and for this, we are going to measure 10 inches from the top edge of the brown paper down, and we'll measure that across and rule that line. So after that, measure 6 inches from that 10 inches line down as well, and rule that line down. Now, from the 6 inches line, measure 8 inches down, and also rule that line. Now for the neckline, I'm using 3 inches for the neck width and 3 inches for the neck depth. So I'll measure 3 inches from that point like so, and also measure 5 inches from that 3 inches point. Then that line will be for the shoulder. So after taking that measurement, I will drop the shoulder by 1 inch. You know our shoulder is slanted. Then I'll connect the 2 points like so. Afterwards, I'm going to measure from the top edge down. That will be for our neck depth. So I'm also going to use 3 inches. So I'll measure 3 inches from the top edge down like so. And then I'll now draw in my neck curve. So now we are moving to our horizontal measurement, which is our bust, waist, and hip measurement. So for the lines that we measured earlier on, we are going to input our bust, waist, and hip measurement on that line. So the first line will be our bust line. So that is our bust divided by 4 and indicates the measurement on the first line. Then for the second line, our waist divided by 4. After marking the actual waist measurement, add 1 inch for that allowance. And for the hip line, we are also going to divide our hip by 4 and also indicate that on the hip line like so. And then later you connect the lines like so, which is the bust line to the waist line and to the hip line. So it's going to look like this. You see it's already coming up. The shape is already coming up. And then you see that side I was trying to smoothen the curves. So if you connect yours and you have a sharp edge, please smoothen it like so. Okay, now so we are moving to the chest line, and the calculation for getting the chest line is your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So mine is 8.25. So I'm going to take that measurement from the shoulder slant, not from the top edge of the brown paper, from the shoulder slant. So after getting that, rule that line across, but here is me checking to make sure the line is going to be straight. So I checked from that point to the bust line and then indicates the same thing on the center front just to get a straight line. Now for the armhole line, I'll do the same thing by cross-checking the measurement from the center front to the shoulder point just to get a straight line. So after getting my measurement, I'm going to input that measurement on the chest line like so and connect it to touch the shoulder. So now at this point, connect that bust point to touch the chest line. So here I'll go ahead and write all the indications: the chest line, the bust line, this is the waist line, and here is the hip line. So right here we are going to determine our armhole curve, and to do that we need the midpoint of that line. So here is me cross-checking the measurements and to determine the middle. So after getting the midpoint of that line, you measure half an inch in. Here you use your armhole curve or your pattern master. You could equally use your free hand, and then you place your curve at the shoulder point, touching that half an inch we just measured to the chest line like so, and then voila, you have your armhole, your front armhole. Alright then, so our front bodies is almost ready, so we are left with one more thing to do, that is our that. So to do that, we need our nipple to nipple measurement. And after getting that measurement, you divide that measurement by 2. So mine is 8, divided by 2 is 4. So I'm going to measure that on the waistline. I'll repeat the same thing on the chest line, and I'll also repeat the same thing on the hip line, and then I'll also rule that line. Then on the waistline, measure half an inch on both sides like so. And then on the hip line, you measure 2 inches up. Then you move to the bust line and also measure 1 inch down. So it means that starts 1 inch below the bust line and end 2 inches before the hip line. Now go ahead and connect those points together. Now our front bodice block is ready, so we'll now go ahead and start drafting the style. Here I'm starting with the length of the dress. So for the length, I want to use 17 inches, meaning from the waist to the dress length, I'm using 17 inches. So here I went ahead to measure 17 inches across from the waistline, and then I went ahead to draw that hemline. So after drawing the hemline, I cross check my hip measurement and then input the same measurement on the hemline. Then I went ahead to connect the points together. Now, depending on how tight you want this dress, for me, I'm using 1.25 on the hemline like so. Then you connect it back to the hip line. So before doing anything else, I'll go ahead and input my underbust measurement. So my underbust measurement is 14. So from the shoulder to where the 14 stops, I'll go ahead and mark that line, and then I'll indicate that line as underbust. So after that, I'll go ahead and extend my dart line to the midpoint of the shoulder. So this dress is an off-shoulder dress with an off-shoulder sleeve. So I'm going to use the midpoint of the armhole, that is half of the armhole. Then on the chest line, I'll measure 2 inches above that line, and then I'll connect it like so. For the center front, if you want the center to be deeper, like if you want the V to be a deep V, then you will use your chest line. You could use your chest line, meaning you connect from the armhole to the midpoint of the armhole to the chest line. So here at this point, I want the dress to be tighter around my waist, so I'm reducing my waist measurement. I measured 1 cm on the waist, and then I connect the curve this way, so the new curve will be my new side seam. Over to the neckline tightening, you need to take excess dart from your neckline so that that side will fit well around your body. So on the dart line, I measured 0.75 on both sides and connect the curve this way. Then on my underbust, I also taken half an inch on both sides of the dart. I first connected with a straight line to touch the waistline. Then I connect with a curve to touch the bust line like so. So if you follow the way I did the curve, it will be much easier. At times you wear off shoulder and then the armhole area is big. So here I'm trying to reduce the armhole by taking 1 cm from that side, and then I'll draw in my new armhole curve like so. And if you want the dress shorter, you could use 15 inches from the waistline, and that is still fine. It's going to be the same as the one in the video. That is okay. I just wanted mine to be a bit longer. Alright, here the front is ready, so we'll go ahead and cut it out. So we are going to set this aside and work on the back borders. For the back, we are going to repeat the same procedure as the front, as in the 1 cm we took to tighten the waist, and then the 1.25 at the hem to shape the hem. We are going to repeat the same thing, and then for the armhole, for the back armhole, you are going to draw the curve outside the armhole line. The front is inside, half an inch inside, but for the back, we are drawing the curve outside. Then the back neckline is higher than the front, so you raise the back neckline by 1.5 inches. Okay, just as we did for the front, we are going to use the midpoint of the armhole like so, and then I'll connect this to the edge of the brown paper. Then that side is the center back, the center of the back. Okay, so I'm connecting it with a straight line like so. Yeah, I'm connecting with from the midpoint to the center like so. So after doing that, I'm extending the dots to that line. So I'm going to input my nipple to nipple measurement on that line as well. Or you could as well just extend the straight line to touch that line. But because I want it straight, I'm cross checking by measuring my nipple to nipple on that line, and then I'm extending it to that line. After extending, measure half an inch on both sides of that line like so, and connect it to touch the waistline, that leg on the waistline. You connect it to touch that line for both sides. After that, I went ahead to label my patterns center back and side back, and on the waistline I'll take in another half an inch from that side. That is to remove any excess from the back. After taking that half an inch on that side, I'll go ahead and connect it to the hip line like so, and also connect it to the bust line. Alright, after doing that, we are done with the back pattern as well, so we'll go ahead and cut it out. I labeled that side T, that is the top, so that when cutting I know which side is the top side and which side is the down. So here I went ahead to cut out the skirt pattern as well. So yes, all our patterns are ready for cutting on the fabric. Alright, before cutting out the pattern pieces we drafted, we'll go ahead and cut out the sleeve part, that is the peplum on the sleeve, before moving ahead to cut out the drafted pieces. Alright, so for the first one, that is the one on the neckline, the one across the neckline. For that, we are going to cut 720 because I want the volume in that to be matched. So we are going to cut 720 for that. But for the second, third, and fourth tier, we will be cutting 360. Okay, so and we'll be using 6 inches for the length. So from the first peplum to the last one, to the fourth one, we'll be using the length of 6 inches. Now, to calculate the 720 flare, we are going to need your across shoulder measurement and your across front measurement. So you divide that by 6.28 and you divide the answer by 2. Whatever your answer is, you add your length. So the length is 6. So you add plus 6. So the second one, which is the 360 flare, we are going to divide your waist measurement divided by 6.28. So here I was just trying to demonstrate how to cut a 360 flare, and that is your waist divided by 6.28. But for this tutorial, what we'll be needing for the second, third, and fourth peplum is our around arm, not our waist measurement. So here you divide your around arm by 6.28 and then you add 6 inches to the result. Okay, so we are going to first cut the 720 flare. So I'm using the length of 11. What I had from my calculation was 11.1, but I'm going to do it 11.5. because of seam allowance. This peplum, I'm not going to turn the hem with lining, so I'm only adding half an inch seam allowance. You first measure your 11 and a half and fold the fabric in. That is the first part. So that is me cross-checking my 11 and a half, and then from this edge as well, I'll measure 11 and a half and also fold it in. So I'm having 4 folds, which are all 11 and a half. So it's going to be like a square, 11 and a half by 11 and a half. Okay, so here I was trying to make sure everything lie flat on the table. Then I'll go ahead and cut it out. We are cutting 2 of these. Remember, we are cutting 720, so we are cutting 2 of these. So this is the first fold. So I'll go ahead and cut this one out, and then I will fold the second one the same way I did for this and also cut it out. So right here, I've gone ahead to cut out the second one. So I'll just put this on it like this, and then I'll measure my radius from the top edge like this. I'll measure the radius. So right here, my previous radius was 3.1. But whilst cutting, I decided to use 5.1 because the fabric I'm using is a bit stiff. It's not the original Ankara, and it's a bit stiff, so I don't want the situation whereby I won't have that volume I wanted. So I decided to use 5.1 so that by the time I gather everything in, I will get like that volume that I want. So here I went ahead to use 5.1 for the radius, and then the length is still 6. I hope that makes sense. Still go ahead and use the radius we calculated. That is fine, but I was just explaining that I went ahead to use the second radius that I did. Okay. Alright, so after cutting, I'll go ahead and divide each peplum like so, and then I'll pin them together because this side they are both going to be one actually, so I'll just pin them together before cutting the other one, just for me not to get confused. So I'll just pin this together before moving to the second, third, and fourth one. The second, third, and fourth one, in all it will be 6 because we are cutting 3 each for both sleeves. For the second one, second, third, and fourth, that was why I said we'll be using our around arm measurement. So my around arm measurement is 13 divided by 6.28 is 2.1 plus 6, which is the length, and I have 8.1. So I'm going to fold 8.5. So here you fold in 8.5 and you measure from the edge upwards and also fold 8.5. So depending on what your around arm measurement is, your result might not be 8.5. Okay, so here I was trying to make sure everything lies flat on the table, and then I'll go ahead and cut it out. So we'll be needing 6 of these. Like I said before, we'll be needing 6 of this. So I'll go ahead and cut this out, and then we'll also proceed to cut the extra 5. So after cutting the other parts, which is the extra 5, before I'll go ahead and take out the radius and the length of the peplum. I'm done cutting the first one. I'll go ahead and cut out the extra 5. So here the other 6 is ready. I'll go ahead and now take out my radius and the length as well. After doing that, I'll go ahead and cut it out. I'll make sure I cut out the remaining 3 as well. Alright, so this is how it looks like. Here is me checking the volume of the sleeve. All right, so now we are moving to the body. Because the sleeve, you need a foundation before the peplum will be on top. So here you put your front bodies, the armhole part on the sleeve like so. Just match it together and mark where it stops, or you just take your tape measure and measure where the armhole area is, and then indicate that on the armhole as well, or sorry, on the sleeve, and then you mark. You have to cross check your off shoulder sleeve measurement. So mine is 9, so when I check I have 4.5. so check at that point to make sure you have your accurate off shoulder measurement before you cut it out. Okay, so after getting that correct, I went ahead to cut it on the fabric. I cut out my other pattern pieces as well, and here voila, we are done with all our pattern pieces, our cutout pieces. We are done with everything. So what we are left with for is to sew them. So see you in my next video for the sewing part. If you have stayed till the end, thank you for watching, and if you have not completed the video, please do so. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.